Hello, everyone. How are you doing out there? Thank you for tuning in to Mirador, the best little station in the world, run by a lovely man called Keith Hayes. Um, we're here to entertain you, inform you, and have a bit of a rant and a rave. So a good time is had by all. What have you been up to, Keith?
I've been struggling a little bit because my scooter, the way I get around, is in for repairs.
Well, it's always in repairs.
I know it's been a bit naughty lately, and they promised to sort of fix it permanently this time. But it's meant actually that I've reconnected with the bus drivers.
They're very helpful.
They are
very, very helpful indeed.
And on Friday, I was terribly daring, and I went down to Littlehampton to have lunch.
Wowee!
And I went on the train. And
all by yourself?
All by myself. But the trains were incredibly helpful. They had people make sure I got down to the platform from the booking office in Lewes. They phoned through to Brighton. They took me from platform 8 to platform 2. They alerted the conductor on the Littlehampton train, and all in all, it went swimmingly, and thanks to them. I was very impressed.
Well, it sounds very nice. Now, I want to know what you had for lunch.
Fish and chips.
But were they nice fish and chips?
Yes, they were very good, actually.
Good.
We had lunch in a pub called the Arran View, which looked out over the inlet.
Uh-huh.
And it was a very nice pub. It was a pub that was slowly becoming a hotel,
really?
or a dining,
yes.
a restaurant. But nonetheless, the food was good, the staff were nice, and it still had got, to some extent, like this place has got pub charm.
Yes.
This is a pub that delivers food.
Yes.
And Death keeps it that way,
uh-huh.
and rightly so. It was a pub that has started to become a restaurant.
Uh-huh.
But nonetheless, it kept a certain amount of charm. Yeah.
Very good, because we've been losing so many of our traditional pubs, haven't we?
Yeah, we have.
It's such a shame. And I mean, that's part of Britain. It's what really bugged me about the European Union, when they started sticking their noses in.
Oh, yes.
Just because they haven't got any pubs, don't want us there.
No. I mean, but it just shows that, one style does not fit all.
No. But we've got our traditional pubs, and we capture an atmosphere with them. In France, they have their sidewalk cafes, and they capture an atmosphere with them, which we cannot capture.
Yeah, that's right.
To each his own.
Yeah.
Look forward to that when I go to France, and French probably look forward to our pubs.
Oh, they do, yeah.
But
Harry says that he can't wait to get back and come here.
No, that's very nice. That's very nice. How many pubs? Come on, you're terribly good at this. Did we used to have in Lewes?
Well, in 1853, we had 63 pubs and 17 breweries.
Good God!
But you couldn't drink the water; it was poisonous.
Yes, I mean, little babies, they raised them on gin, didn't they?
And they actually made a beer for children.
Did they?
Yes.
Yeah, incredible. Well, it hasn't really improved much, has it, the water? Let's face it.
No.
Things don't
anyway,
improve.
We're not going to admit to it, even if it has, because we prefer the beer.
I don't see anything changing, at all. We used to burn people at the stakes here, didn't we? I think people found that jolly good fun.
Yes,
they,
we haven't done it for a week or two.
It's been a little while. But, in other countries, they chop their heads off for a bit of sport.
Yes.
So you can take your pick. I think I'd rather have my head cut off than be burned at the stake.
You know the story about Tom Paine, do you?
Tell me again.
Well, in Paris. He apart from a lot of the other things he did, he joined Robespierre in the French Revolution, and fell out with Robespierre, who sent him to the Bastille. And he was in those days they were able to go out and chat in the corridors, and he was out chatting to somebody, and the man who was sending people to the guillotine came along and put chalk crosses on the doors of those that was next day going to be guillotined.
Oh, really?
And they put one on Tom Paine's door, but the door was open. So when it was closed the next day, they didn't see the chalk mark, and it saved him.
Good. Is that really true?
Yes, it's true.
Good heavens. Well, but they did get him in the end, didn't they, poor man?
Well, they forced him out of the country because they were going to triumph of treason. But his friends said, "Look, you're not going to win because you upset the king." So he listened to reason, and he went back to the United States. But by that time, his popularity had waned, and he actually died quite a lonely man, apparently.
Yes, that happens with these magnificent people.
Yeah.
You know, like the scientists that discovered electricity, things like that. Tesla, marvelous man. You know, they starved him to death.
Yeah.
You know, took all his patents and, you know.
Oh, they have many ways of dealing. The establishment has many ways of dealing with people.
Yes, and they're generally very, very successful, whichever method they choose. I mean, look at today. Nothing's changed, Keith. Nothing at all.
Anyway, you've been searching as usual, working hard.
Yes,
at your
and
computer.
I've come across something here, which is relevant to the 15-minute cities that I've been talking about for so long. I don't want to go into that again because I'm sure people are sick to death of hearing me talk about them. But they are terribly, terribly serious, and they are going to push on with these, I promise you. Whether we will win the day by some miracle, that I can't tell. I haven't got a crystal ball. I'm just reading the information that I have. And this comes through this was called Smart Gulags. Activist post. Here we go. Climate racketeers aim to force us into smart gulags. This is very interesting, the way they're going about it, Keith. Smart cities, 15-minute cities, and predictions of moving rural citizens to cities have been in the works for at least 30 years. China was ahead of the curve by moving 300 million farmers to cities, stripping them of their land, their generational profession, and their dignity. Posted by Paul Kudenek via Guardian. Smart cities, shocking evidence is emerging from Australia and New Zealand of how the climate scam is being used to impose a techno-totalitarian smart city furor. The criminocratic global imperialists of 10 use their Commonwealth colonies to try out the most insidious exclamations of their tyranny. Think of Canada, New Zealand, and Australia during COVID. We can therefore assume that this is going to be the blueprint for the rollout of the fourth industrial revolution agenda across the world. The sinister scheme in question, called Managed Retreat, has been exposed by an independent researcher, Kate Mason, on her excellent Substack, BLG, aimed at reconstructing 4-1R narratives. The idea is that exaggerated modeling of the imaged effect of climate change is being used to define certain areas of unsuitable as unsuitable for human settlements. Working hand in hand, the state is the insurance industry along a central part of the corrupt criminocratic empire, which deems homes in these parts to be uninsurable. Isn't that clever? Banks are also playing their part, of course, saying they are unwilling to provide mortgages for these unsuitable properties. Kate Mason refers to a TV report about Kensington Banks near Melbourne city centre, which has been newly declared a flood zone. Meanwhile, in New Zealand, residents are up in arms about attempt to impose retreat from coastal areas under the pretense of a rise in sea levels. As the media report shows, they are not buying this scaremongering climate propaganda. Good for them. But they're coming on strong, aren't they?
Yes, indeed.
They really are. Trying all angles, Yes, get in there and get that money. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear.
Yes, keep
I
going.
think they'll do it. I think they'll do it, Keith. I really do. They'll push back for a while, and then they'll take over. Meanwhile, I think they're just seeing what people will stand for it, what they will and what they won't. And if we won't stand for it, then they find a way around it where we have to.
But presumably, if we don't stand for it, at least it delays it.
That's it. Yes, you're right again. It does definitely delay it.
Which gives some of the bigger activist people who support a lot of what you say opportunities to regroup and have another go themselves.
Yeah. I must tell you this because I haven't written it down and I might forget it before the show is over. Lovely that they have, I suppose, pardoned Julian Assange.
Oh, yes.
I think that runs much, much deeper than we all know. But, poor man, banged up all these years, got a wife and children, and, I don't honestly think Australia, he's an Australian citizen, they should have done far, far more for him than they did. And anyway,
where is he now?
He's back in Australia.
Back in Australia.
Yes, and he's a happy man. The thing is, the people that he exposed with this are criminals. That's why they didn't want to let him out. So these people are going to go totally unpunished, like a lot of others. Now, I was watching The Iconic, which is David Icke's channel, with his two boys, and Gareth on there came up with a brilliant idea. He said, why don't we form our own courts? Why, Keith? Why aren't we forming our own courts? Because, these people are going to get away with it.
Yes, that's what it is.
Because they all answer to the Rothschild family, which controls Israel and the world and America. They take their orders from these people, and they are infiltrated like a spider's web all over the world. So we are facing a bit of a challenge. You know that, don't you?
Oh, yes. I mean, ever since you started this program, you pointed out the sort of challenge it is. I think that without overturning society totally, and I certainly wouldn't advocate that, is starting your own courts. It's a bit difficult because the courts are reflective of following the laws of the land. And that's the one thing that...
but they don't, do they?
Well,
they don't.
Broadly,
I mean, the judges are crooked. I mean, even after the last World War, those people were punished.
Well, no, I mean, that's different. When in fact they go into the court system, it's different to actually running your own courts.
Vastly different.
Yeah.
So let's be different and run our own courts.
Well, by all means, so let's say your court says to me, I've just run down a lady and I've killed her, and you find me not guilty, but the courts in the UK find me guilty. How does that help me?
Well, this takes a lot of thinking out, and laws need to be changed. But if we are going to survive this, we're going to have to form into little groups of our own peace, where we have our own money and our own banks, and I think our own law courts. The way these people in Wigglesfield or wherever it is are challenging the councils there.
Yeah.
I think that's the only means of survival that we will have, and they will try very, very hard to stop us doing.
Why don't these people in Wigglesfield run for council and take it over that way?
I don't know what they're up to, darling. I've been very ill, and I've really lost touch with all that, quite frankly. And
it's a very interesting scenario.
I think
it's
going to be the only way that we will survive, and they will try that desperately to stop us, because they want total world control of everyone on this planet. So it's going to be very difficult, but people have survived in the past. It's a difficult situation.
Oh, indeed. I mean, this conflict is the basis of just about everything that we do.
Yeah. I mean, I know they have the internet now for control and all that business, but also there are lines out there still that are educating people as to what there is. And I talk to taxi drivers. Well, I've only been doing this, about 18 months with you. And I talk to taxi drivers and people in the store. I say, "No, do you think do you understand about the Rothschild families?" "Oh, we know about them. Of course, they run the world." I mean, it's common knowledge now. With these people, they're seeded, and some of them are raised by very ordinary families.
Yes.
But the Illuminati know where they are. Yes. Anyway, I've got a nice one here. Fake meat. I always turn that to shit meat because it's more apropos, Fake Meat by Mark Slavo, posted by Richard Willett on the David Icke channel. Marvelous, fantastic stuff they are doing. Okay, let me put my glasses on. I might be able to see something here. Fake meat is an ultra-processed food, and as such, it has been linked to the heart attacks and strokes in new study. These plant-based foods are not fit for human consumption, but that won't stop the mainstream media and rulers from trying to get us to eat them anyway. Recent headlines denounce plant-based fake meat, such as vegetarian sausages and textured vegetable protein, as unhealthy, and claim that consumption is linked to an increased risk of cardiovascular disease and death. These are ultra-processed and about as far from natural food as one can get. Eating fake meat is similar to eating a Cheeto. What's a Cheeto?
I don't know. It's a Mexican thing, isn't it?
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. These aren't really foods, but rather food-like products that they are attempting to get attempting to get the masses addicted to. Well, we are addicted, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Foods are described as ultra processed when they undergo an industrial transformation that significantly alters the original ingredients. These foods have a long journey before reaching your plate. Pantry staples such as instant noodles and store-bought cookies typically undergo several stages of processing and shelf life. The study found that more ultra-processed foods people consumed, the more likely they were to have or die from heart disease. Results that weren't really surprising, said Gunther Puheli, a nutritional epidemiologist at the University of Reading in England. However, the rules and their puppets want the masses to eat highly processed, plant-based foods in moderation, such as sugary foods or drinks and fake meat. Remember, healing people isn't a big profitable for big pharmaceutical companies or the medical establishment, and healthy people certainly don't need to rely on a system of rulers either. That's why we are bombarded with bad information on health, such as taking an mRNA injection and eating fake meat almost daily. Not to mention the ways that eating bugs is being programized. Isn't it interesting that humans at the top of the food chain are the most ignorant when it comes to diet and nutrition? Not bad, huh?
No, it's very true.
Okay, nice little one here, Zelensky. Do you remember him? Zelensky says it's time for peace with Russia. We have too many dead people. We don't have too much time because we have a lot of wounded and dead people on the battlefield and among civilians. That's why we don't want this war to continue for years. We want to prepare this joint plan and put it on the table for the next peace summit. Printed by Mario Lawful. Ah, little one going back is Biden and Amazon. This is by Steve Watson via Modernity News. Biden administration asked Amazon to hide vaccine critical books during pandemic. It has been revealed. The findings were presented by the House Judiciary Committee and Subcommittee on the Weaponization of the Federal Government in documents that now show Amazon reduce the visibility of titles that the government deemed overly critical of big pharma shots. The documents show that some books were simply generally critical of vaccines, with several written by medical professionals. Some were even just reviews of scientific studies. The federal government complied a do not promote list to which more than 40 titles were added. Interesting, yeah, but not surprising. No. Virus tests, Mologic. Global Access Health. This is Roman Balmakov, who is excellent journalist who writes for the Epoch Times. 2 years ago, George Soros and Bill Gates purchased a company called Mologic, virus testing company. Please check out this channel. Roman talks about the vaccination of children without parents' consent. Nice little one.
Is that allowed?
Hmm?
Is that allowed?
Well,
Vaccination of children without parents' consent?
this I don't know. I don't know. Check out this man's site. He's called Roman Baumakov. Epoch Times. They're very, very reliable people, and they have excellent journalists working for them. So please go there and check out Moloch, Mologic, which by Bill Gates and George Soros financed together. Yeah. What else? Israel is finished with Netanyahu. Tens of thousands demand his resign now. Not going to mean a thing. Okay. Drag queens.
No, that's for sure.
Drag queens should not be allowed to go into nursery schools, play groups, primarily schools, teaching them to shout free Palestine, and sexualizing children. Any school or any play group that allows this should be closed down. This is wrong on every level. Oh, WEF, Klaus Schwab said it will be illegal to have cash, that we will be easier to control without cash. I mean, all this is very nice stuff, isn't it? They're making notes of, regarding the food I was talking about. I mentioned this last time on the show, Keith, and I can't praise this man enough. His name is Dr. Robert Lustig, MD, MSL, New York Times best-selling author of a book called Fat Chance. This is his latest book called Metabolical, right? Can I hold that up? Yes. Please, please buy this man's book. He tells you absolutely everything about the fake meat, the food that we have been eating for so long, and how diabetes is now the number one disease all over the world through the sugar and the artificial sugar that is in absolutely everything.
A lot of attention being paid to diabetes recently, hasn't there?
Yes, and there is a cure for it. I don't know if anybody knows that. But little children, when they're born, are practically born with diabetes, which is unheard of in the past.
And why is that? Because the parents Yes,
and you don't realize what you're eating. I mean, all this fake meat and this stuff. You think, oh, that's tasty. That is very good. And it's not the food you crave, it's the sugar.
Mm-hmm.
Like bread, people sometimes think, oh, love bread. It's the sugar in the bread that you're addicted to. Right. It's in absolutely everything.
Mm.
And this man, the truth about processed food and how it poisons people and the planet. Well worth the attention. And the book, he's a lot of stuff on the internet, very interesting man. And I do suggest you follow him, because we're in a pretty bad state, aren't we? I mean, Big Pharma, wow, they're killing us off in style. Yeah. So that's all I've got for today regarding that.
Well, now just as a matter of interest, I see that somebody has clicked in there. So shall we see if it's pertinent to your show? It's a personal one for me. No. Yes, it's interesting stuff. One of the things that I think we might pay a bit of attention to is one of the things we know about television is don't bother to give out phone numbers and so on. It's not because people aren't interested, but because people don't keep a pen.
Yes.
Right? And you've got limited time.
Yes.
So what we might do is perhaps can find for some of these things which are most interesting, and you're recommending that people read, is how do they get a link to them? how do they very quickly get hold of them?
I will put up a link
Yes,
to
excellent.
that
Yeah,
when I'm
yeah.
done.
Because actually, you've gone back to your original days, which were very good, and they are now. But you went through a hell of a lot today.
Yes, I did.
Yeah,
Yes,
you did.
I really did.
Yeah. No, it's terrific.
um,
It's terrific. But people with lust after Dr. Lustig.
That's it, Dr. Robert Lustig.
Yeah,
Lustig.
yeah. But I use the word lust. They will lust after a number of follow-ups on a number of the things that you raised today, because they're very interesting points. And the more we can help them,
Absolutely.
the better.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. But this man has been around a little while. Fat Chance was a bestseller.
Hold that book up again, because it's a big book. Yeah, it's a thick book.
But don't be
don't
be alarmed by its size and its contents. I mean, there's a lot of pages here, because the man is an excellent writer, and he writes so that the average person can understand.
Right.
He doesn't use these ridiculous long words that you need a dictionary to understand things.
Yeah, presumably it's a reference book too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Don't have to read it all at one go.
Yeah, it's all kind of stuff.
Right, Liza. Well, a lot of interesting stuff. You'll be back this time next week?
Yes, I will indeed.
That's good, because, as you know, Liza was a bit poorly. She shut off her ill health, and look at her, glowing. Absolutely glowing.
Absolutely. Feel fantastic today. Nothing can get me down. I'm such a, I wake up in the morning, I think I am such a lucky woman. I really am. Don't you say that to yourself?
To some extent, I do.
We are the age that we are, and we are still capable of doing what we're doing.
Indeed. Although I must confess is that we are in that period of life where there are ups and downs.
But we have knowledge through our years, we have knowledge to give the younger generations, because
indeed.
we have experienced these wars.
Yeah, that's right.
And these governments.
Yes, that's right. No, it's that is always the argument. Youth may have the ideas, but age has got the experience.
Yeah, and age teaches youth. It's supposed to.
Absolutely. Pay attention to that. All right, see you next week.
So don't give parties, don't drink unless you invite me.
And then be prepared for a lot of stories. Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.